The harsh truth about China's leftover women. Let's talk about the most terrifying reality facing educated, unmarried women in their 30s today. That comforting backup plan of, if my career doesn't work out, I can always settle down and start a family? It's disappearing fast. Society no longer sees childbearing as your inherent value. You're now expected to compete on the same brutal terms as men in a system that was never designed for you to win. I can already hear the objections. Are you saying a woman's worth is just her uterus? Bear with me, there's more to this story. Here's what's happening to a generation of urban professional women. They've swallowed the modern cocktail of feminist empowerment and consumerist indulgence hook, line, and sinker. On one hand, they've been taught to view motherhood as nothing more than biological slavery that only benefits men. On the other, they've been sold the lie that personal worth is measured in designer handbags and Instagram-worthy vacations. The corporate world cheers them on. Don't aim to marry well. Be an independent career woman. Make your own money and Mr. Perfect will come chasing. Meanwhile, the advertising industry whispers, you deserve that $3,000 purse. Treat yourself, queen. So they work punishing hours to afford luxury goods they don't need, living paycheck to paycheck in a cycle of working overtime to pay for last month's splurges, feeling entitled to reward themselves for working so hard, having zero savings when life inevitably throws curveballs. This isn't empowerment, it's economic entrapment. Broke women can't afford to quit toxic jobs. Women without savings can't start businesses. Women drowning in credit card debt can't take career risks. The cruelest irony? The very system that promised them independence has made them more dependent than ever. By the time they realize the game is rigged, when fertility starts declining and the perfect partner never materializes, they're left with dwindling options and no safety net. This isn't just about being single at 35. It's about an entire generation of women who traded their natural advantages for corporate-approved liberation, only to find themselves trapped in a gilded cage of their own making. The true tragedy isn't being leftover, it's realizing too late that you've been sold a bill of goods, with no path back to what really matters. Let me tell you something, this whole experience really drove home for me why some women end up being labeled leftover as they get older. Last week, an old acquaintance came to see me, a woman I'd actually tried to matchmake for about a year ago. Now she's back, and let me tell you, the whole situation was eye-opening. She's born in 1988, quiet, elegant, works in finance, the kind of woman you'd think would have no trouble finding someone. Last year, I introduced her to a guy from my matchmaking network, a Hangzhou local, 2 years younger, working as a doctor at a top-tier hospital. I mean, come on, that's a great catch by any standard. But here's how it went. She wasn't exactly cold toward him, but she wasn't warm either. Just indifferent. Never made an effort to move things forward. Never gave a clear yes or no. Eventually, they just drifted apart. Fast forward to now. She walks into my place and hits me with, "Hey, do you think you could reconnect me with that doctor from last year?" I've been thinking, maybe I made a mistake. She admitted she'd actually liked his credentials just fine. Stable career, good family background, the whole package. Her only hang-up? He was too quiet. Like, painfully introverted. I just got bored. So she ghosted him. But here's the kicker. After a year of her family setting her up with guys who were either mediocre or, in one case, already divorced, she suddenly realized, oh, maybe that doctor wasn't so bad after all. And then she had the nerve to say, if he could just be a little more outgoing, I'd be willing to give it another shot. I just stared at her. Girl, he's married now. She didn't believe me. So, to really drive the point home, I called him right in front of her. And guess what? He answers laughing, seriously? You know, my wife and I are about to celebrate our baby's 1 month. The look on her face? Priceless. Instant regret, full-blown embarrassment, the whole 9 yards. And honestly, it makes you wonder, how does someone not see this coming? A top-tier hospital doctor in a city like Hangzhou isn't exactly going to stay single forever. Yet here she is, still stuck in this fantasy that the world should wait around for her to make up her mind. Some people just never learn.
The cold hard truth about being single after 35. You know what question I keep hearing? What's really going to happen to women who aren't married by 35? Let's cut through the polite talk and get real about this. Most people assume these women are just being too selective or can't land a good partner, but that's missing the point entirely. The uncomfortable truth? Many of them aren't choosing to stay single. The dating game has essentially pushed them out of the running. Picture this: a woman hits 35 still unmarried. Suddenly, it's not about whether she's attractive or successful anymore. Those things barely register at this point. The real issue? Her options have dried up completely. Younger guys? They've got their pick of women in their 20s and see no reason to date someone older. Men her own age? Nearly all of them are already taken. The handful of decent single guys left in her age bracket? They're being swarmed by younger women who see them as prime catches. That leaves divorced men, often with kids in tow. And let's be honest, most never-married women in their 30s aren't exactly thrilled at the idea of becoming an instant stepmom. There's this unspoken resentment: why should I settle for someone else's leftovers when I've waited this long? But here's where it gets really messy. Even if she's willing to consider dating a divorced dad, she's walking into a minefield. There's the ex-wife dynamic, the stepkid situation, the complicated family politics. And if she wants children of her own later? That's a whole new layer of complexity. Meanwhile, the guy's probably wondering if someone with no marriage or parenting experience can actually handle this circus. The painful reality is that her prime marriage years have come and gone. That whole "I'll wait for the right one" mentality? It's a luxury that disappears with each passing birthday. By 35, the dating pool might as well be a puddle. This isn't about women being too fussy. It's about how the system gradually eliminates their options until there's almost nothing left. And that's the uncomfortable truth nobody really wants to talk about at brunch.
How many women become leftover because of this reason? If your daughter is beautiful, highly educated, and has a successful career, would you expect her to struggle in finding a suitable partner? At first glance, it seems unlikely. After all, shouldn't intelligence, beauty, and professional success make her more desirable? Yet, paradoxically, many accomplished women in China face difficulties in the marriage market, not despite their achievements, but partly because of them. Take the case of a 36-year-old woman, attractive, well-educated, and thriving in her career, yet still single. As an only child, she was raised with immense affection and little responsibility. Her parents, eager to give her every advantage, shielded her from household chores and practical life skills, believing her focus should remain solely on academics and career success. While this upbringing helped her excel professionally, it also left her overly reliant on her parents for daily tasks, social interactions, and decision-making, stunting her independence in adulthood. Her parents, convinced of her exceptionalism, instilled in her the belief that she deserved an equally, if not more, exceptional partner. At 25, she saw no need to actively seek marriage, assuming that her credentials and family background would naturally attract an ideal match. Her parents reinforced this mindset, thinking, "Our daughter is so beautiful and accomplished. Why settle for anything less than perfection?" By 28, her parents gently suggested she start considering marriage, but she dismissed their concerns. Accustomed to having her way, she saw no urgency. They hoped time would soften her stance. At 32, she finally agreed to blind dates arranged by family and friends. Yet, despite her credentials, none of the men pursued her beyond the first meeting. Some found her overly dependent, others sensed an air of entitlement. After years of rejections, frustration set in. Now, at 36, after 4 years of unsuccessful matchmaking, she remains single, a reality that bewilders both her and her parents. Upon reflection, 3 key factors explain her predicament. Age as a disadvantage. She entered the dating scene at 32, but many eligible men in their early 30s prefer women under 30, often under 24, due to lingering societal biases that equate youth with marriageability. lack of life skills. Her inability to manage basic tasks, cooking, budgeting, or even simple household responsibilities, made her appear high maintenance. While modern relationships don't demand strict gender roles, men often hesitate to commit to someone who seems unwilling to grow or adapt. Parents' unrealistic standards. Her parents imposed rigid criteria: advanced degrees, high income, good looks, urban residency, and a family background equal to theirs. These excessive filters eliminated nearly all potential matches, leaving almost no viable candidates. This story is not unique. In China, women over 27 who remain unmarried are often labeled leftover women, a term popularized in 2007 that stigmatizes single women. Studies show that highly educated women frequently struggle to find partners who meet both their own and their family's inflated expectations, leading to prolonged singlehood. The lesson here is clear: parents must balance their aspirations with realism. Overprotectiveness and unrealistic standards can backfire, leaving their children isolated. Encouraging independence, adaptability, and self-awareness, rather than perfection, can help young adults navigate relationships on their own terms, increasing their chances of finding genuine happiness.